Hillary decides to air Victoria's big blow up on Benjamin, and Lily and Jordan finally kiss. Join us for the Restless Wrap this week.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
And I'm here to discuss this week's episodes of Young and the Restless. And in case you couldn't hear me earlier, I love this song and definitely love hearing it every week and every episode. So tonight we have our awesome group in the chat, and we've been discussing a few things as we were getting ready to go on the air here. And I just want to say before anything else, we've been hearing some news that Daniel Goddard was feeling a little under the weather and feeling kind of sick. So I just want to say hopefully he has a good recovery and gets back to set, and well wishes for him. So again, my name's Rachel. You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Rach Goodman. So let's go ahead and get into this week's episodes and get into everything that's been happening. So I wanted to start with Kane and Lily and kind of get into the Maddie and Reed storyline along with that. Okay, so we see, kind of going off based on last week, we return where Kane is walking in on Maddie and Reed, and that whole scene where he's basically kind of sort of, not yelling at her, but reprimanding her and giving her a hard time. I didn't think Kane could piss me off anymore, but he just continued to make me angry watching him treat Maddie this way, especially when he's done all these terrible things. And at this point, to me, I mean, he's been kicked out and he's still trying to, I don't know what he's trying to do exactly, but it's like he's trying to be, dominant in this situation, even though he's, definitely not in a position where he should be talking. So if anyone has any comments in the chat about this, do you think Kane was right for reacting this way toward Maddie and Reed? I mean, on the one hand, I understand why he would. That, obviously he feels like Victoria is out to get him and all these crazy things, but still, typical Kane, he's not understanding that he caused all of his problems, and that's the biggest issue with him. So let's see what we are getting in the chat here. Amanda says, "What? I'm so sad." Oh, about Daniel Goddard. Yeah, so I was looking in the chat and a couple people were mentioning how Daniel Goddard was kind of sick. I looked it up really fast. It looks like it was a bacterial infection. So hopefully he will start to feel better, and hopefully he's doing better now after everything. Aaron says, "Yeah, her last show was last week." And I think Abby. Yeah, so I guess I'll touch on that really fast. So Abby's last show was last week. I'll be taking over. And so I will be here and would love to chat with all you guys. So keep the comments coming and the questions, and we'll keep this going. Candace says, "Kane is a father who is protecting his daughter, but Kane is still being judgmental." Yeah, I agree. I mean, I understand on one level, he is trying to protect his daughter, and fine, he walked in on her kissing another guy and kissing a boy, and maybe she wasn't supposed to be home alone with a boy. That's about as far as I understand. After that, I just didn't like how he was treating her, and I didn't like how he was getting mad that it was Reed. He really should have no say. It's not like, I know that they're saying that Reed has, done bad things, even though, as far as I've been watching, they haven't really mentioned specifically what. But until Reed gives them a reason not to like him, I just don't understand I just don't understand why he would care that much. Hubby Joe says, "Kane is becoming the #1 jerk in the town. He's giving Victor a run for his money. He is overacting." Yeah, I agree with that. And then Demo says, "Yes, Kane doesn't take responsibility for the bad things that he has done." Jacob says, "Kane is being so harsh." I agree with everything you guys are saying. And I don't know, for a guy who's just, I get that he's being a protective father, but for a guy who's done so many bad things, I feel like, I personally don't feel like he should even try to tell his daughter what to do. if anything, Lily to me feels like the better parent. And I really, really enjoyed when Lily walked in and Kane tried to act like, oh, I caught Maddie kissing Reed, kissing a boy. I loved Lily's reaction where it's like, number one, she already knew they were friends. And obviously she's way more in tune with what's going on, even though she didn't realize they were dating or kissing or anything. But Lily's reaction was just so calm. Even when she later ended up talking to Maddie about everything, I really loved how she was handling that. And even though a lot of people on the show, especially a guy like Kane, has done some really terrible things, it's very refreshing to see Lily, who is handling this in a very rational way. Now, the only thing I didn't agree with was that she told Maddie to kind of keep her distance, or not keep her distance, but take it very slow. So honestly, considering she told her to take it slow and didn't say you can't talk to the guy, I felt like that was pretty reasonable. I mean, they are in high school, but what do you guys think? We have Jacob says, Kane can't keep it in his pants and is so high and mighty. That's hilarious. And yeah, it sounds like that's how he is. And Turtle Slayer Turtleman says, can't make it tonight, but just wanted to stop by and say hey. Hey, Turtle Slayer, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it, and it's good to hear from you. We'll definitely see you next week. Demo says, Kane told Lily about Maddie and Reed because he was trying to score points with Lily. Yeah, I completely agree with you. And that's the problem, is that it's like all Kane's trying to do. He even brought up the fact that he sold the car, like as if it was going to be, like brownie points or bonus points or whatever. And he clearly doesn't really care about what he's done or care about doing the right thing. His goal is just to get Lily back, no matter what he does. So he's definitely doing these things for the wrong reasons, and bringing up Maddie with Reed just to get those, like to look like a good father, to look like a guy that Lily can bring back into the house and back into their lives. Amanda says, I think the writers are trying too hard with Maddie. I know people like her, but it just seems odd. And then Dulaman says, should this be the end for Kane and Lily? So we can get into that a little bit now, because basically after Lily and Kane have this talk and we go through, at the very end of this week, we had Lily and Jordan kissing. So I don't know what you guys think about that, but me personally, I was really glad it happened. When Kane and Lily were talking throughout this week, Lily didn't quite say she wanted a divorce, but it sounded like that was maybe a direction that she might want to go down. And everything with Kane, it's just, he's lied so many times. He's done wrong so many times. If she were to eventually forgive him, could she ever have a healthy relationship with a guy like that? I don't think so. So when Jordan was talking to her, saying how the right woman was there for him, but she was unattainable, basically, I was like, yes, these two are so good for each other. I can feel their chemistry way more than Lily and Kane. And I think Jordan is a much better guy. And what was Jordan doing with Hillary? I mean, really, I think Jordan and Lily, definitely. So I was very happy at the end of this week when they finally kissed. Demo says, Jordan is not fully committed to Hillary if he's kissing Lily. Yeah, I didn't really think that Jordan was fully committed to Hillary. I mean, I guess in one sense, yeah, he seemed like he might have been trying to be. Even Jordan was starting to see what Hillary was capable of. And like Lily said, she watched people, including her brother, get involved with Hillary and just go down, and good people that had to deal with Hillary. And she even said she didn't want a guy as nice as Jordan to have to deal with her too. So yeah, I definitely think Jordan is not committed to Hillary completely now. And after this kiss, something tells me that he's gonna want to pursue Lily, definitely. Candace says, I rolled my eyes at the Jordan and Lily kiss. I mean, Lily has cheated in the past while being with Kane, yet Kane is mean he lied, but we aren't sure he had sex with Juliet. Yeah, I mean, here's the only thing is that, yeah, so Lily has cheated. I still think that Kane is worse because it wasn't just cheating, it was cheating, not talking, not telling the truth about it. And it wasn't even just the cheating aspect. He transferred $25,000 to some guy without consulting his wife first. And that to me goes, I mean, cheating is definitely bad, but he didn't just cheat. He went above and beyond. And I wasn't watching Young and Restless when Lily cheated, so I don't know the storyline too well. But from what I have heard, Lily was honest about it. Even though she did do wrong, she honestly came out and said, hey, this is what happened. Taylor says, I hate Kane right now. Yeah. I would say he's a very irritating character, and we'll get into the Hillary hour later, but his reaction to what was happening with that smug look on his face I was very, very irritated. I personally don't like Kane too much in general. Aaron says, Kane is scum to me right now. Yeah. Demo, I just want Jordan with Chelsea though. Huh, that's interesting. I could definitely see that chemistry too. And I can't wait to start talking about Chelsea and Nick when we get there for other reasons. But let's go ahead and let me just talk about really fast how Lily ends up going to Neil and basically telling him about how they're going to cut the Dare initiative. And at this point, I'm just feeling really bad for Lily. And yeah, it does seem like her whole world is crashing around her. But it's still interesting. I knew that she had to be talking to her dad for a reason about this and that it would come into play later. Did anyone else feel really bad for her when Hillary came up and basically started, I don't know, just started making fun of her? I mean, even though Lily did say things too, I'm definitely Team Lily over Team Hillary. I do not like Hillary. So when Hillary started saying these really mean things to Lily and basically just said, in a really smug way, yeah, well, your world is crashing down around you. Oh, too bad. I'm legitimately concerned for you. I was like, wow, just leave her alone, Hillary. Go away. No one wants to hear you. So that's another reason I was especially happy about that kiss at the end too, because Hillary's getting exactly what she deserves. So let's see. Amanda says, Chelsea and Nick are so sweet, but the relationship is built on lies. They can't stay happily ever after for too long, leads to soap opera death. Yeah, I agree. And I have a theory too about Adam. I think someone was saying it last week. So why don't we, since we're talking about Chelsea and Nick, let's go ahead. We can segue into that, and then we'll go back, and I'm going to talk about Victoria and everything that's happening at Brash and Sassy. So, okay, I kind of lumped Victor, Nick, and Chelsea together because obviously Victor decides he's going to kick out Nick. I don't like Victor either. I am not a fan of his, and I started laughing. Okay, so I wrote down this quote, son, I've given you a lot of time. You are no longer my son. That's literally what he said. If he's no longer your son, why are you saying son in the sentence to start? So I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, so Victor kicks Nick out. And then the funniest that was just how he did it was kind of funny, even though it was also irritating. But then I got really concerned when Victor basically asked Abby to come and live at that house that was now going to be vacant. I thought that was going to cause a huge problem between Nick and Abby, and I thought Abby was just going to do it without talking to him, but I guess not surprisingly, but she actually handled it very maturely. And when Victoria was there with Nick and Abby, and they were all kind of relatively calmly talking about this, the dialogue between Nick and Abby, I thought was incredibly calm and mature, and I was really surprised that Nick said it was okay, that he didn't care that Abby was going to live in that house. But it sounds like Nick definitely is wants to move on with his life and move forward and not have anything to do with Victor. So Nick's taking this a lot better than I originally thought he would too. And then everything with Chelsea and them moving in together. This is my theory. I think that Adam is still alive. Someone mentioned last week that they were playing the theme music for Adam a lot. And they, in this week specifically, they kept bringing up Adam, and Nick even said, I understand after everything with Adam how you would feel about moving in together. Yeah, I think that Nick and Chelsea are gonna end up moving in together, and then Adam's gonna be, it's miraculously Adam is gonna be alive and come back. I kind of feel the chemistry with Nick and Chelsea, but I kind of don't at the same time. So I really don't I don't really care if they end up together, honestly. So I just don't feel their chemistry as much as other couples on the show. All right, we have some comments. So Aaron says, I wanted to throw my TV out the window when Victor kicked Nick out. Yeah, and the way he did it, that's the worst part. Doesn't Victor believe in telling people, hey, you got to get out? Like, any normal parent would be like, yeah, it's time for you to leave. Now, you have like a week or two or whatever. Nope. Nick comes home, keys are changed, and all his stuff is being moved. Victor's a really nice guy. Yeah. Okay, so Aaron says, that was so shady of Victor to ask Abby to move in. Yeah. And then Demo says, Nick shouldn't have been surprised that Victor gave him the boot since they did have a falling out. Well, that's true. And plus it is Victor. So yeah, I think you're right. I just, more reasons for me to not like Victor. And then Candace says, Nick can't have it both ways. Yeah, that's true. That is really true. And they did have a falling out, and there was a punch involved. So yeah, I do understand. I just think that Victor should have gone about it a little bit differently. Like, hey, since you're no longer my son, why don't you get your stuff out? Jacob says, I totally agree, Aaron, with Nick not being able to have it both ways. Amanda says they have chemistry. Their relationship is just starting to show the flaws. Yeah, I do see the chemistry, kind of, and then, I don't know, I think I want Nick and Sharon together. So the idea of Nick and Chelsea, maybe I just don't see the chemistry as much as other people might see it because of that. Duelamin says, Victor always pits his kids against each other. Yeah, I've been noticing that, and they've been talking about like everything with the trust, and yeah, Victor, interesting guy. Aaron says, Demo says, no, 30 days, he's not paying rent. Yeah, I could see 30 days. Like, hey, 30 days, get out, and then move your stuff, etc. That would have been reasonable, but I guess Victor doesn't really understand. Or he just really wanted to stick it to Nick, which is most likely what he was trying to do. So, so I talked about my theory with Adam, and just in general, though, for a soap opera, that scene with Nick and Abby I thought was very calm. So let's go back and let's talk about Brash and Sassy and everything that's going on with Victoria. Okay, so where we kind of left off here, or where we started in the beginning of the week, was basically Benjamin was still trying to get Victoria to sign so that she would get a bridge loan from him. Meanwhile, Benjamin decides he's gonna start doing business with Kane, which always works out very well. And eventually, I thought it was pretty interesting how the ringing in Victoria's ears. Did anyone else notice how she's starting to manage it a little bit better? Now when she hears it, like for example, she heard it when she was with Abby and Nick, and she, instead of sticking around, she just ended up leaving. It's almost like she knows definitely she definitely knows that something is going on. So she's almost able to handle it now. And so when she ended up leaving, that's when she had the conversation with Ben. She gets the ringing in her ears again, but instead of acting drunk, she basically kind of just handles it and decides she's not going to just sign something right away with Ben. So what did you guys think of everything that happened with Billy and Victor? what did you think of how they were basically teaming up together to help Victoria? I have to say, I thought it was really funny how basically Victor just shows up at Brash and Sassy out of the blue, and then Billy made a point of it that he would normally not agree with Victor, and but here they were, trying to help Victoria, I guess. And to me, like, I really want Victoria to get with Billy, to get back with him. Even though they clearly don't realize it yet, I think that they're so good for each other. And Doolaman says she must have really bumped her head. Yeah, they didn't show the actual fall, they just showed her falling. So we don't even know if she hit anything or what happened, or maybe it was just from falling back that fast and hitting her head on the floor. Who knows? But it seems like she's kind of managing it, but not really. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. Taylor says, Brash and Sassy is just such a mess. I feel awful. Yeah, I feel awful for her too, because this is pretty much all Kane's fault. Meanwhile, Kane thinks that Victoria's trying to screw him over. No. It was basically the other way around. Kane screwed them over. So, yeah. Anyway. Doolaman says they both want to control her, meaning Victoria. And Demo says, Billy Boy and the mustache agree. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Aaron says, right, Demo, that's the Victoria Newman that I know. To Demo saying, yes, Aaron, that's the Victoria we need to see, not the sappy girl who's crying over Billy. And I think that was in response to, Victoria was a boss when she confronted Hillary. I definitely agree, and we will get to that in a moment. Brittany says, yes, Billy and Victoria, fan forever. Definitely agree with you. Here's a question from Candace. How come everybody needs money all of a sudden? Lily and Kane are broke, I guess. Nick, quote, is broke because he can't get his own place. Victoria asking for cash. Yeah, it seems to be a big theme. The thing that boggles my mind, too, is Lily and Kane. Because I think a couple weeks ago we were talking on the show about how they shouldn't be broke because of Lily, because she should have some money in her account somewhere. And but they did make it a point to mention Neil trying to offer her money and her basically saying, no, I'm not going to take that. But it sounds like she should have money somewhere else that they're not talking about. And then Victoria needing money. How bad was this settlement? I know she lost that one advertising deal because of Kane, but how bad was that settlement that she's now hurting on, like this badly? Interesting question. And Demo says, oh yeah, how are they broke? They wear fabulous clothing. Yeah, that's the thing, is that they are wearing designer clothing, driving pretty good cars, and their homes look very well furnished. So yeah, I don't understand how they're broke either. But hey, I guess it works to increase the stakes and everything. But yeah, I don't see that. There should be more money there somewhere. Taylor says, I love how Neil has been there for everyone. Yeah. Now, okay, with Brash and Sassy, let's get to like the big, big event that happened this week with basically Victoria finding out that Kane was working with Benjamin. She storms off and she finally kind of like tells Benjamin off, which I loved. And then I saw Hillary with her camera, which I didn't love so much. It was, I do not like Hillary. It's like, I know a while ago we were talking about how there needs to be a villain on the show. I honestly think Hillary is a good contender for that because she is just so catty, and she's got a show where she can basically blast off everyone's personal information whenever she catches it on film. So yeah, I couldn't believe that she would, well, okay, let me rephrase this. I could believe that she would stoop so low. But yeah, I definitely wasn't happy that she was, and it was really irritating, and I couldn't believe that she would just be able to air that without consulting anyone on the show, but I guess it's her show. Doolaman says, if my brother was a billionaire, the last thing I would be worried about is money. Yeah, well, exactly. And then Demo says, getting back to Hillary, Hillary stays scheming. Yeah. And then Jacob says, Bernie may have taken everyone's money. Interesting. Well, okay, let's get back. Let's talk about Hillary and get into the Hillary hour. Now, I write my notes every week for this, and literally under Hillary hour, I wrote, I do not like her. So, I loved Mariah's reaction, and I love how Mariah stressed the fact that she did not know what was about to come out of Hillary's mouth. But it was really interesting how they did this, where they, Hillary is showing this video. We get to see Jack's reaction. We get to see Kane and Ben's reaction, which was pretty funny, I thought. And then obviously we get to see Victoria and Billy's reaction. And I kind of really enjoyed how they kept kind of cutting back and forth between all these different characters. And it was interesting how they did it, and definitely made me angry at her. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what you guys thought about that. And how do you think this is going to affect everything that's going on? Because at this point, Victoria had finally gotten Neil. She didn't, obviously Neil offered to basically be that bridge loan for her as long as they brought the Dare initiative back for Lily. So now everything seems like it could be starting to get in the, head in the better direction for Lily. So finally, Victoria, there was some light, and now this, where her business yelling at this guy is now going to be broadcast everywhere and potentially hurt her. So what do you guys think? Do you think that this is going to hurt her business, potentially ruin the loan that she's going to get with Neil? Do you think he would change his mind? Let's see what everyone's saying in the chat. So Taylor says, Hillary is so irritating. I love how sassy Mariah was to her during the show, though. Yeah, I agree. And it stunk, though, because Mariah was trying to talk, and all of a sudden Hillary just interrupted her. I think Mariah is probably one of my favorite characters. So when I see Hillary doing this to her, I'm like, yeah, okay. But it was just, it was so irritating on so many levels. Aaron says, I'm glad Mariah learned how to cover her ass regarding Hillary. Yeah, definitely. And I love how she stressed it, I think, 2 times that she had no idea what Hillary was about to say. Because obviously that could look so bad for Mariah too. So that was really amazing how she did that and got those words in anyway, even if Hillary was going to block her from everything else. And just in general, I really don't like how Hillary treats Mariah. Like she doesn't, she just walks all over her. Amanda says the bets with Mariah was fun to watch. I agree. It was definitely fun to watch. Aaron says, I loved how Mariah made, the bet for $20 that Hillary would be late again. Yeah, that was the most enjoyable part of that scene. And then Hillary got to the, starting filming, and Candace says, this might jeopardize her chances, but she will be okay. I mean, she's Victor Newman. She's her father's daughter after all. Yeah, I just kind of took it like it would be very embarrassing, but I didn't think anything super crazy would happen. We'll see next week. Maybe it will, but my prediction is that this is just going to be something that kind of embarrasses her, and maybe people are going to start to think that something is going on with her. I mean, people are already thinking that. Maybe more people will start to think that there's something going on with her. I really want Billy to figure it out, because I feel like that will definitely help with the storyline, and someone knowing might make it more interesting too. Hubby Joe says the whole staff should quit on Hillary. Quit while on the air. Yeah, that would be the best revenge. And obviously, if people are standing around taking bets, I would be willing to make a bet of my own that most of them don't like her. So I bet that Mariah could stage a coup and they could go and, create their own show. Okay, so speaking of Mariah, let's kind of skip forward to the Tessa, Mariah, and Sharon situation with Crystal. So I loved that finally Tessa opened up to Mariah. she was very obviously upset by what was happening with, Chris, well, something. And yeah, she finally tells Mariah that Crystal's her sister. And it was just a really sad story. And I can really understand why Tessa's so worked up over this, because she clearly feels the blame. She feels like she's the one to blame because she didn't go and help her little sister. She's the older sister, so she probably feels a lot more responsibility over her younger sister. And hearing what's happening to Crystal, she is probably beating herself up on the inside, even though she shouldn't be, because it's obviously not her fault. But I can understand why she might be feeling this way. And Amanda says, I'm here for Tessa and Mariah. Demo says, no Y&R for the eclipse. Oh, really? Interesting. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, that's pretty sad, because I was really looking forward to seeing. I'm like super excited to find out what happens next after, so we can see the, after effects of the Hillary hour. So, man, I guess we have to wait till Tuesday. Okay. So with Tessa and Mariah, it's interesting. They're still showing the chemistry between Tessa and Mariah, and how Mariah is still jealous over Noah and Tessa. I'm really curious to see what they do with that storyline. I hope they don't drop it, because I think that's a really nice, it would be really nice to see the two characters get together. I still see the chemistry. I mean, here's the thing. I get that they're best friends, but Tessa was able to talk to Mariah over Noah about her sister. That's got to say something. Candace says, oh wait, here we go. Demo says, sorry, Hillary treats Mariah like she's beneath her. Yeah, I don't like that at all. It's just ridiculous. That's one of the reasons I don't like Hillary, is because she treats people like that and acts like, she's so like, better than everyone else. And And Aaron says, yep, I've already watched Monday's episode. Oh, okay. So there's a Canada episode, apparently. I guess if you are in Canada, you got to see the episode that's airing on Monday. But the rest of us will have to wait. Amanda says, play on that relationship. Y&R is the only soap without a same-sex relationship in the history. Time for it to happen. Yeah, I agree, Amanda. I mean, really. Plus, they have the chemistry. So they should. I'll be really upset if they just drop it. Let's kind of move on to everything that's happening with Scott. Well, with Sharon and Crystal. So I found it interesting, though, that Scott ended up going in, I guess, kind of undercover, and he talks to another woman who, I guess he asked for Crystal, but they sent someone else in. And it's interesting, they found out that it's a female boss, and that apparently she's really nice to everyone. Now, who's to say that the young girl was telling the truth on that? Maybe she was just kind of scared, but I have a theory that Christine, the woman playing the police officer, I have a feeling she might be involved in this, and that she's the woman. Because it would just make sense that it would end up being someone that we know. And when Zach called in and said, it's time to begin, we saw the back of a woman's head, and the woman had the same color hair as Christine. So clearly Zach's involved in this, and clearly I think it's going to be Christine. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know what you guys think. Okay, we have Marie. I want Hillary to be back on the street. I didn't know she was on the street, but yeah, that would be an interesting turn of events, especially after how she was treating Lily. Dooliman says, I keep forgetting Christine is Scott's aunt. Oh, interesting. I did not know that. That would make it even more interesting, since Scott and Sharon are both involved in all this. Dooliman says, no, it won't be Christine. Yeah, I mean, you could be right. I could be wrong. It's just a theory. So we'll see what happens. I really hope that they show us sooner than later. Aaron says, why is Tessa scared to tell everyone that Crystal is her sister? Yeah, you know what? I am curious about that too, because you would think that in a normal situation, it wouldn't be so bad to say, hey, this is my sister. I really care about this person. Let me help you try to find her, because Tessa might know things that can help find her sister. but instead she doesn't want to have anything to do with the police. So, and then with Zach, like she didn't want people to know that she knew Zach. Like it's very hush hush. So I don't know what's going on with Tessa, and there's obviously a lot that we don't know at this point. Terrell says, I would get to know more about Crystal and Tessa. Yeah, definitely. We'll have to see what happens with that. So Candace says, I think Tessa is scared because maybe somebody else is looking for Crystal, like maybe their parents. Ah, that would make sense. And maybe she just doesn't want anything to do with her parents. Obviously, they were abusive. And that's another thing. We don't really know if they're her biological parents that she ran away from or if it's adoptive parents. She was very vague about saying she ran away from her family. So that, I just feel like there's a lot of interesting things they can do with that storyline, and we'll have to see what happens. And Doolaman says, I think the lady is Sheila. I am personally not familiar with Sheila, but I definitely wanted to, get your comment out there. Amanda says, Demo and Taylor, the last 5 months, all I've been doing is watching AMC. Bianca is a queen. Love me some Eden Rouge. And then Doolaman says, and Crystal and Tessa are Sheila's kids. That would make sense. So, okay, let's talk about Dina and Jack for a little bit. We'll just touch on it. So Dina obviously messed up those reports, and I kind of thought it was awesome how Jack was finally the character to realize something's going on with their mother. So I just found it interesting that Jack was so close to finally being the one to say maybe she has something, like Alzheimer's or dementia. He didn't quite get there because Graham stepped in and saved the day and then gave Dina the credit for, changing the reports. So basically Graham kind of stepped in. Do you guys think Graham is good or bad? Because I'm still up in the air. I think it could go either way. It could turn out that he's her caretaker and that she does have Alzheimer's, and so he's actually good, or it could turn out that maybe he's her caretaker, but he's bad. I don't know what to make of him quite yet. So far, he's been, I don't know, the way that the actor's playing it, to me, it's a very neutral character. Gloria, though, was pretty funny, how she was trying to, always loves drama and stirring the pot. And she decides she's going to call him up and basically fill him in on the gossip about how Dina messed up the report. But let's see what the chat says. Terrell says, Dina's always knows what she's doing. She wasn't really around for her kids a lot. Yeah, and that's the thing, is that I think Jack picked up on that Dina, a CEO of a company, should not have made those mistakes ever. So clearly something is going on with her. I am still saying Alzheimer's. At least they're not saying depression anymore, because that to me makes no sense. If someone's forgetting things, my logical conclusion would not be to think that they have depression. It would be Alzheimer's or dementia or something along that vein. Candace says, I think Graham is worried that somebody will learn about Dina's condition. Yeah, and that could be true too. And I think he clearly is worried about that, and he's trying to prevent people from finding out. Maybe that's something that Dina asked him to do, because Dina doesn't want them to know for whatever reason. I guess, maybe she's kind of embarrassed by it. I would understand. I mean, you're a CEO of a company and suddenly you start having these problems. Yeah, I personally would be very embarrassed. Not just embarrassed, but I'd be very concerned that, what my family would think, and that they would be worried for me. Maybe that's what Dina's thinking. But it's great that she has Graham. It's just whether he's good or bad, we will find out. And Amanda says that would be cool. Oh, let's see. Aaron first. I think it's Alex, the girl that Dylan slept with, who's running the sex ring. Interesting. I guess we'll find out. I mean, I don't know if we'll find out next week or if it'll be a couple weeks, but hopefully we find out soon, because I feel like they've been dragging this on for a while, and they're teasing us, showing us little glimpses of what, who it might be. So we'll see. So why don't we go ahead and jump to our law moments? Basically, I had 2 for this week. I already mentioned both of them kind of. But okay, so I thought that, first of all, Victor, when he was saying, son, I've given you a lot of time. I told you a while ago that you were no longer my son. That to me was the funniest moment, because I just don't get why Victor would think that he could. I don't get why he would say, you're not my son, in the same sentence that he starts with son. I mean, I get that maybe he's just used to saying it and that's why, but it's still, I thought it was funny. And the other funny moment I thought was also had to do with Victor. And it's that moment when Billy has just heard that Benjamin is on the phone, or Benjamin is having dinner or lunch or whatever it was with Victoria. And basically, Billy's getting upset, and he hangs up the phone, and he throws a packet of paper. And as the paper comes flying to the floor, the camera looks up, and there's Victor. I thought it was really funny how they did that, and I started laughing. I don't know if I was supposed to laugh, but I thought it was funny. Everyone in the chat, what were your favorite and funniest moments of this week's episodes? And why don't we go ahead and get into predictions if you guys have anything to say about that?
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Predictions. Okay, so, you know what? Let me see if we have any predictions yet, or anything at all from the chat. Well, Doolaman says Mary/Erica was the same person. I am not sure if we're still talking about Young and Restless, because it seems like the chat, they're talking about a couple other soaps as well. But I guess I'll relay that just in case that is Young and Restless. If it is, it was from a time I did not watch. Terrell says Victor Newman is the American equivalent to Carl Kennedy from the Aussie soap Neighbors. Just saying. Candace says, funny moment, Nick still being a baby. Yeah. That was funny. I can see that too. He has his moments where he does start acting like he's kind of a little kid. Aaron says Victoria confronting Ben and Hillary was the best moment. Yeah, I agree, definitely. I mean, aside from that paper throwing moment where Victor's in the doorway, which was hilarious. And Marie says prediction, Devon gets mad at Neil. Yeah, and they were kind of showing some of the spoilers for next week. It looks like they do have a conversation about it. So yeah, I'm assuming too that Devon's probably going to get mad that he wouldn't have consulted him first before agreeing to this bridge loan. Aaron says, yeah, I see Ashley getting pregnant. Interesting. We'll see. Taylor says Devon is going to be really mad at Neil. Yeah, I agree with that. Amanda, I saw that Kevin is on his way back to town but isn't with Chloe. Yeah, I was wondering that too. So Kevin's supposed to come back, but we haven't heard anything about Chloe yet. So I guess he's coming back alone. I wonder why. Maybe there was something that happened between the two of them. We'll see. Candace says, prediction, Billy will make Phyllis mad as he continues to figure out what is up with Victoria. I agree, and I hate to say this, but hopefully Phyllis and Billy will break up, and then we can move on and see Victoria and Billy back together. However, that being said, I thought the sex scene, well, the implied sex scene on the elevator was pretty funny. Well, funny, yeah, that's probably a good word for it. And then also when Phyllis basically said she was no longer going to be on Jack's team because she doesn't want to hurt Billy. I thought that was pretty commendable of her and really thought that said something about her character. Nikisha says, it's about EastEnders, so sorry, Nikisha, I will skip that. Amanda says, I hope that Chloe comes back. Elizabeth Hendrickson is amazing. Yeah, she seemed like a really good actress too, especially in that scene with the doctor and everything he was doing to her, and she had to play Maggie. It'd be interesting if she comes back. Terrell, my prediction, Victoria might be pregnant. Better not let Reed know about this. Yeah, that would be interesting and would kind of stink considering we would all pretty much guess who the father would be. Benjamin. Aaron says, oh, okay, I think he's, it would make more sense turning them gay doulamen. I think we're talking about Tessa and Mariah, but I'm not quite sure. And then Candace says, prediction, Chloe gets kidnapped by a mysterious man, also known as Adam, and Kevin returns to the town thinking she just left him. That sounds like a very interesting plot. And then so Kevin will think that Chloe left him, and then eventually Chloe will come back when he least expects it, and Kevin will be in a new relationship, and then Chloe will show up. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Taylor says, I loved Maddie and Reed this week, and Reed telling Maddie her past. Yeah, I agree, and I think that Reed's a pretty good kid, even if he's done things that might not have been the best. I personally like him and Maddie together really well, and even if he did bad things, I think he's a good person, and hopefully that doesn't get in the way of his relationship with Maddie. And Nikisha says, oh wait, here we go. Sorry. Everyone's saying good prediction, Candace. Great prediction. Okay, cool. All right, well, I think that about wraps up our predictions. Again, my name is Rachel Goodman. You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Rach Goodman, or on Facebook at Rachel Ann Goodman. Thank you guys for joining and tuning in this week. We have Survivor by Destiny's Child. Specifically, I had this in mind when everything was going on with Lily and Hillary was attacking her. I was like, oh no, Lily's not going to take this, and everything seems to maybe be working out for Lily now. Thank you guys so much. It's been a blast, and I would like to thank all my amazing co-hosts in the chat for, joining and tuning in and having this conversation with me. Thank you, everyone, and I will see you next Sunday.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.